This could be the largest automotive casting mold ever built, and no company other than Tesla could bring such a massive machine into its vehicle production line at Giga, Texas. This casting system is 10 times more complex than previous molds, but the efficiency gains it delivers are simply unbelievable. A year ago, Elon Musk talked about a Giga Press with a clamping force of up to 50,000 tons, capable of producing a vehicle frame in just 5 seconds. Tesla's CEO said he genuinely wanted to find out where the limits of physics lie, just how large a casting machine can actually get.
So, yeah, let's do that. I mean, like, let's see what is the limit of physics of how big can a casting machine be? Let's find out.
This could be the casting machine Elon Musk was talking about. So why does Tesla need an even larger Giga Press, and what makes it so complex yet incredibly efficient? In the next 10 minutes, you'll discover Elon Musk's true ambition for the Giga Press. When it comes to Tesla, people today seem to be split into two camps: those who still support the company and those who have lost confidence in it. Many believe that Elon Musk has become too focused on AI, self-driving cars, and the Optimus robot, while forgetting that Tesla still relies heavily on revenue from selling vehicles. Elon Musk has even dismantled the multi-billion-dollar Model S and Model X production lines at Fremont to make room for an Optimus robot production facility, but this may be exactly where many people have misjudged Tesla. While public attention is focused on Optimus, robotaxi, AI, and Elon Musk's bold promises, Tesla appears to be quietly preparing for an even bigger revolution at Giga, Texas, in the industry that built its empire: automobile manufacturing. Recently, images and information surrounding a massive new casting system have suggested that Tesla may be preparing an entirely new generation of Giga Press technology, the 4th generation Giga casting. According to the information available, Tesla is aiming for a casting system with a clamping force of up to 50,000 tons, with a footprint roughly the size of a house. The company has already developed 6,100-ton, 9,200-ton, and 16,000-ton casting machines, and now, potentially, a 50,000-ton giant. The idea actually stems from a question Elon Musk once raised: where is the limit of physics, and just how large can a casting machine become? But what makes this truly astonishing is not just its enormous size or clamping force. Tesla's ambition is to use such a machine to manufacture extremely large vehicle structures at speeds that seem almost unbelievable. Back in 2020, Tesla made headlines around the world, especially among Chinese automakers, when it unveiled its first Giga Press. The machine allowed the company to replace dozens of separate components with a single large aluminum casting. This was the 6,100-ton Giga Press, designed specifically to cast major sections of the Model Y's vehicle structure, fundamentally changing the way the rear body section was manufactured. Soon afterward, Chinese automakers began adopting and developing similar technologies, drawn by the enormous potential for reducing manufacturing costs. Tesla then continued pushing the boundaries with its 9,200-ton and 16,000-ton Giga Presses, making it even more difficult for competitors to catch up. But the leap from 6,100 tons to 50,000 tons would be an entirely different story. The Giga Press does not use 50,000 tons of force simply to squeeze aluminum into a mold, as many people might imagine. That number primarily refers to its clamping force, the force used to keep the two halves of a massive die tightly locked together while molten aluminum is injected inside. When molten aluminum is injected into a mold cavity under enormous pressure, the force generated by the liquid metal constantly tries to push the two halves of the die apart. The larger the mold, the greater its surface area, and the more metal being injected, the more incredible the force required to keep everything stable. If the clamping force is not strong enough, the two halves of the die could separate at the most critical moment. The entire part could be ruined, and in a more serious scenario, molten metal could escape from the mold. But Tesla's biggest challenge is not simply keeping a gigantic mold tightly closed. The real challenge is doing all of this at extremely high speed. According to Elon Musk, the new system could aim for production speeds closer to those of an electronics assembly line, with cycle times of only a few seconds and the ability to process multiple components within the same cycle. That is why the 4th generation Giga Press would need to incorporate a range of advanced technologies beyond anything used in Tesla's previous Giga Press machines. So it all kicks off with material prep. Tesla blasts fresh aluminum ingots plus scrap from past runs in a furnace cranked to a scorching 850 degrees Celsius. Once they skim off the top layer of gunk, that liquid metal flows through heated pipes into a second sealed furnace, keeping things nice and hot between 750 degrees Celsius and 850 degrees Celsius. Here's the deal: the Giga Press runs on a smart two-furnace setup. The first is a gas-fired melter sitting around 850 degrees Celsius, while the second acts as an electric holding tank, keeping the molten alloy locked in that 750 degrees Celsius to 850 degrees Celsius sweet spot. To stop oxides from ruining the batch and to lock in steady heat, they pump nitrogen into the holding furnace's extra airspace. On top of that, operators blast in argon gas, spin a rotary degasser, and run the liquid through a silicon carbide filter to catch any tiny particles over 25 microns. Boom, raw materials ready. Time for the mold. Before every single press, a robot sprays roughly 35 milliliters of soybean oil over the mold. Think of it like greasing a baking pan so the part pops right out. The system then pulls a vacuum to suck out any air pockets, and molten aluminum flows straight into the shot chamber. From there, a high-speed piston, slathered with its own 8 milliliter splash of oil, blasts the metal directly into the mold cavity. As soon as the aluminum is poured into the mold, the casting process begins. The Giga Press's clamping units exert a force of 50,000 tons to shape the vehicle frame and hold it securely until the aluminum begins to solidify. The cast then pops out at a blistering 400 degrees Celsius before getting dumped straight into a cooling bath, plunging the temp down to 50 degrees Celsius. That quick shock freezes out defects and amps up the metal's strength. Meanwhile, the open mold cools to 185 degrees Celsius, where a robot gives it a thorough scrub down for the next round. The whole cycle resets fast, usually just 1 to 2 minutes later. From there, any leftover metal gets trimmed off and tossed back into the melting pot. The finished piece goes straight to X-ray to guarantee there are no hidden flaws. Now the trickiest part of the whole operation? Keeping the mold from blowing apart when liquid metal shoots in under crazy pressure. That's why you need insane clamping power, and with a 50,000-ton Giga Press, that lockdown force is an absolute monster. For Elon Musk, making this manufacturing leap work required Tesla to rethink far more than the casting machine itself. The company had to develop ultra-fast cooling.
So I mean, we got to jam the liquid metal in, cool it down real fast, like real fast.
For the first time, auto manufacturing is beginning to look more like electronics production. Faster, cleaner, more streamlined, and designed around maximum efficiency in a surprisingly small footprint. Once multiple body sections can be replaced with a single massive casting, the entire production process becomes dramatically simpler. Tesla has claimed major gains in productivity while reducing the number of robots needed on the line from around 1,000 to just 300. If the 50,000-ton Giga Press becomes part of Tesla's next generation of vehicles, it could push that transformation even further, making cars faster and simpler to build. That vision was hardly welcomed by everyone at first. Many in the auto industry questioned whether giant aluminum castings could really make economic sense, pointing out that aluminum tooling can wear faster than traditional steel stamping dies and might drive up long-term costs. Tesla, however, has continued pushing ahead. And as interest in large-scale casting grows, other major automakers, including Ford, Hyundai, Toyota, GM, and Volkswagen, have explored or invested in similar high-pressure casting technology, signaling that Tesla's manufacturing strategy may be influencing the industry far beyond its own factories. It may sound like a major breakthrough, but as we have noted, this is essentially the most complex Giga Press Tesla has ever commissioned. While it is capable of producing large chassis structures in an incredibly short time, even a small amount of trapped gas can lead to serious issues. It can cause internal defects, invisible from the outside, that directly compromise the chassis' quality. On one hand, injecting the molten metal too quickly can create flow problems or trap air bubbles. Conversely, if the process is too slow, the aluminum may begin to cool before completely filling the mold. With a casting mold of such massive proportions, even a small area failing to fill correctly can render the entire product scrap. That is why the new Giga Press is not merely a machine with immense clamping force. It is a system where speed and precision must go hand in hand. A common assumption is that if a structural assembly is made up of 70 separate welded pieces, you can simply replace whichever one is damaged. But when those same 70 components are merged into a single massive aluminum casting, even a small crack can make it sound like the entire structure has to be replaced. On paper, that argument seems hard to dispute. The reality, however, is more complicated. Repairability isn't determined solely by how many pieces make up a vehicle's structure. It also depends on how the automaker engineers the crash management zones and, just as importantly, the repair procedures available to technicians. Tesla now provides specific repair procedures for the Model Y's rear megacasting. In many cases, technicians can cold straighten bent sections, weld minor cracks, reinforce damaged areas with plates, and even replace individual sections of the rear rail rather than swapping out the entire casting. A complete casting replacement is generally reserved for situations where the damage reaches critical areas or goes beyond Tesla's specified repair limits. That distinction became particularly important in 2025 when Thatcham Research, a UK organization focused on vehicle repair and automotive risk, released findings from 2 years of crash testing, damage evaluation, and repair work involving the Tesla Model Y. Their testing indicated that the megacasting was not only repairable, but could actually cost less to repair than a conventional multi-piece steel structure in the cases they examined. Compared with the traditional rear structure used in the Model 3, repairing a damaged section of the Model Y was about $2,800 less expensive, while replacing the complete casting was still roughly $675 cheaper. So, the real issue with gigacasting was never as simple as one crack means the whole car is a write-off. The bigger question is how that massive casting is engineered to handle damage, and how easily technicians can repair it afterward. And at least in the case of the Model Y, real-world crash testing has challenged the original criticism. In some situations, repairing the megacasting can actually cost less than fixing a conventional structure built from dozens of smaller pieces welded together. That points to a much bigger change in Tesla's manufacturing philosophy. The goal isn't simply to automate more steps. It's to eliminate unnecessary steps altogether and make every remaining operation far more productive. Instead of deploying hundreds of robots to assemble countless individual components, a single Giga Press can perform one enormous casting operation and produce a major structural section in a fraction of the time. And that's the key distinction. Tesla isn't just taking an old-fashioned factory and adding more automation. It's redesigning the manufacturing process from the ground up so many of those traditional steps never need to exist in the first place. And that's the story behind the Giga Press. If you enjoyed seeing how one massive machine can replace dozens of traditional manufacturing steps, hit like and subscribe. We'll keep digging into the technology that's changing how cars are built.